I've done a lot of fishing, but I've never been very good at it. Um, this is me catching a lot of small fish when I was a kid. Uh, so I thought, maybe this is an opportunity to use technology to uh, help people boat more safely and fish more productively on the water with AR. And if you've ever bought a fish finder, you can spend thousands. Like this was a $4,000 fish finder from Humminbird that I bought when I started thinking about this project last summer, and they're super expensive. They're really complicated, and they don't show you the thing that you really want to know, which is to project all of the information out in front of you in context. And maybe the fact that they're so hard might even be a problem for boating. So our vision when I started working on this project last summer was like, could we do X-ray for water? And could we show you where you should fish and the topo map below, and maybe how deep to cast and with what lures, and then maybe even keep people more safe when they're boating. There was just a death in Boston on Boston Harbor over the weekend, and I started looking into the statistics around that, and there are a lot of I think ways that we can help with boating safety. So that was the aspiration. What I first noticed was in terms of doing world scale AR, there's a peak visor, there's sky view for map charts, sun seeker, which shows you the path of sun at different times of year. All of these kind of assume that the information is at infinity. And the reason that that's important is because no one has figured out how to do a plane anchor on a mirror, right? So you'd really like to land the couch or whatever you want to land on this surface, especially if you're doing ways for the water world. But it's an undulating surface that isn't consistent over seconds when you're trying to anchor stuff. So that was kind of the big challenge of the project. So the first, I kind of want to walk you through just over the next 10 minutes, kind of what was the path and what have we learned, and would love your feedback and ideas. So the first thing we did was we started designing AR elements to say maybe we could create hazard buoys, let people drop in pins like you do on a fish finder, maybe predictively place kind of the best place to fish, in kind of a golf tee, golf hole kind of metaphor. And we immediately realized that there was a lighting challenge here. Like you can assume certain lighting conditions inside. On the outside, you have huge range of brightnesses and glaring situation. And so kind of that was the first challenge, was to, how do we create these things that you can see a long way away and that show up in different lighting conditions. And then we went out and talked to subject matter experts, people that catch a lot of fish for a living as opposed to me. So we talked to this bass pro, Jacob Wheeler. We actually attracted this John Hunter to be one of the founding team. He's a full-time bass pro. And Chad Miles, who hosts a show on PBS. Chad got very excited about the idea of using of scanning in 3D the fish you just caught to not only measure it, but also share the 3D version on social, which we haven't built, which I'd love to build if anybody's interested in helping with that one. What we did do, though, is we reached out to the mapping community of people that have these corpuses of marine maps. There are three primary players. Navico was the company we started working with first. This is a shot of Dale Hollow, which is a lake in Kentucky. Actually, Navico was just acquired by Brunswick 2 weeks ago for $1 billion. So really fits into Brunswick's goal of kind of doing self-driving boats and electric boats. And then we started dropping, fish flags all over. Well, this one's in Brookline, where I live. And to see whether we could use smoothing in order to kind of correct errors in GPS. This shot of Harvard Stadium, like running the stairs at Harvard Stadium with Strava, made me believe that we might have the spatial resolution to be able to pull this off for fishing. then we started testing on land. This is my kids' park outside the school. Oh, and we also dropped real 3D fish below the flags that mark where the fish are, so that they would be stuck there forever orbiting the fish. And let me take you a little bit through the app experience as it is today. So we have an app we built in Unity, and we also are working on and would love help with kind of making that work in different Nreal and other AR glasses. So the startup experience kind of tries to motivate what you're going to see. We explain that you just hold up your phone, you'll see these buoys, you can drop markers. One of the things we really learned was people, when they're first doing AR, look down first. So designing something for the looking down experience became important. So when you look down, you first see where you are, your orientation, and then as you raise the phone up, you start seeing elements over the projection of what's in front of you. The other thing that we learned is that if you're true to the world and you use perspective, things get very small as they get far away. So if you're trying to guide someone to to a fish flag that's a mile away or even a half a mile away, it's very hard to identify that. And so we created this sky dashboard that just carries all of the points of interest at a consistent size, just so you know that there's a fish flag behind that island, for example. So here's one of our first tests on Walden Pond outside of Boston. I was just standing in the shallow water. You also notice when you bring the phone up, we kind of cast a set of pluses out over the surface to kind of try to motivate the idea that there's a difference between the surface plane and the 3D lines that are cast in front of you. We have a short video that kind of is geared towards the fishing community.
Have you simply wanted to see through the water, find contour lines, see your waypoints, and know exactly where to cast? Or to see through the water to steer clear of rocks, shoals, or any other underwater dangers? Fish finders are expensive, complicated, and require hands-on operation. They don't allow you to fish and operate a boat totally hands-free.
Introducing Clear, the only glasses that show you exactly what you want to see in fishing and boating. Just hold your phone up to see underwater terrain. It's as if the water were perfectly clear.
I think I'll go on. I'll put a link to the rest of that. Just in the kind of most recent work that we've been doing is with Freedom Boat Club, and it's a different problem in that it's saltwater. There are 4 Freedom Boat Club's locations around Boston. This is all Boston Harbor, and it's really complicated to navigate in Boston Harbor. Like there's half a mile between buoys, which 17 football fields. And you try to find the nun in the can in this top photo. You see it? You see like something out there, but can you tell what color it is? The marine navigation field has been kind of trying to make these larger and larger and higher. They really want to be 35 feet tall in order to see even in broad daylight, and in the fog. We were just out on Boston Harbor in the fog on Friday. There's really a problem to see where you are, and looking at a chart while you drive is a very bad idea. Instead, the plan is to not only put these markers in freshwater lakes, but also as lateral navigation on Boston Harbor and other harbors to kind of guide people through the arches or croquet wickets or what have you. So I think we can, address a lot of the reasons why people have recreational boating accidents, and with this kind of augmentation, and we can also address people colliding with other boats. So the data is actually out there for boats have to, above a certain size, have to broadcast their position and destination and berth and size and speed, and all of that we can start to also project into people's field of view. So the plan is to launch the app version and a glasses bundle, and I think kind of zooming out a little bit, I think we'd like to be an open platform, and would love people's advice if you have it on kind of how to quickly ingest other data streams that answer the questions that people have when they're out on the water. So specifically, I think we've raised about $500,000 for the business, and are looking to raise more. I'd love to talk to people about strategy for kind of creating a more vibrant, open platform for data. And I think our data still doesn't look dimensional enough. And if anybody has advice on kind of how to highlight this sandwich between the water surface plane and the bottom plane, in terms of like these columns that either animate in or that show you the safe places to go, I'd love for if people have ideas about that. Thanks very much. And as Andy mentioned, I just finished a book that's coming out this fall called Supersight, and maybe I can do a separate talk about that. But somehow it's already on Amazon. Who knows?